treated. And so it's really interesting to hear how so many people can have their cell phones in treatment. I think it's a good thing to have your cell phone in treatment, but also like it can be triggering to be on social media. So I think that's an interesting kind of treatment dynamic that I fortunately didn't have, or unfortunately, I didn't have to deal with when I worked in a treatment center. So they let you have them now because of COVID, since we can't have visitors. You can't have visitors? I mean, I think I probably knew that, but to hear that, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's really hard. Because treatment just feels so weird and hard and lonely, and then to think you can't have your family. I'm sorry. Um, aw. First time you've been on a live, or yay, on my live. Well, welcome. Hi. So it's really fun about this live that we do is I go live with you all because like you guys are fun, and then we're able to also go on YouTube and my Facebook page for people in eating disorder recovery, and then a couple other social media sites. Because here's my thing, making this information more accessible to people, because not everybody can have a therapist or have my tech person has come in. What's happening?
I'm going to, while we have it live, so they can actually see it.
Okay. So sorry, he's fixing things. So, okay, good afternoon. Hello, hello. Hi. So, all right, a lot of you are joining me for the first time. That's cool. So, let me go. I don't know if you remember me, but you helped me so much and you're doing well in recovery. Well, I'm so proud of you. Thank you for saying that. And I'm really proud of you. You know, recovery is kind of like, how are you showing up for yourself every day? And it sounds like you're learning how to show up for yourself. So that is something to be celebrated. So I have a lot of comments here on TikTok. We're going to get to these questions and these comments, but people watching on these other channels, I can see your comments too. So feel free to hang out with the TikTok community. Feel free to ask your questions or make your comments. So it's always really fun for me to know where everybody is from. So where are you from? I'm from Texas, North Texas. TikTok is so triggering. It's so triggering because it's so easy to scroll and people just talk all kinds of like toxic diet bullshit on, well, it's on every app, but it's on TikTok for sure. You're about to go get food for the second time today. Okay. Well, I'm proud of you. And you can do this. I have my lunch too. This isn't my first time eating today either. There's no rule on how many times a day you can eat. Our job is to eat when we're hungry, eat when our body needs to eat what our body wants to eat. So if it's the second time, that's okay. We're here for you, right? So everybody cheer on Hidden Valley Rachel. Okay, you got this, Hidden Valley Rachel. All right, we're here for you. If anybody else in the comments is wanting some support around eating, or maybe you're wanting support around your anxiety, maybe you're wanting support around just like mental health stuff, right? Or just living your life, leave it in the comments and I'm going to see if I can get to it. So we want to help support you. So yay, so many people giving Hidden Valley Rachel some support. You do got this. Nervous because ate 2 meals from restaurants today. Okay. That happens from time to time. Because it's available or it's easy. My mom My mom texted me this morning and was like, come eat at IHOP with the family. And I didn't not go. I couldn't go because of clients and work stuff. So, but my mom was like, I just don't want to cook today, right? So my family is going to be out all day eating meals out. Not everybody has the ability to do that. I'm not suggesting that people do that. I know that costs money and time and whatever, but sometimes we just eat food because it's available, right? And it's easy. If you don't want to cook, you don't have to cook. Like, it's okay to eat that food because it's there for you. So you're fine. I know it doesn't feel fine. Just good job eating. All right, so who else needs some support? Who's with me today? Okay. Haven't eaten yet today and doesn't want to because I ate a lot this weekend. So I'm not going to get this username correct. Sid Paul's, I'm not going to say that right, but y'all see it there. Everybody give this, I don't even want to try to butcher your name, and I'm an asshole because I'm not getting your username correct. But we need some support here to eat, that it's okay to eat even if you ate a lot this weekend. Guess what? Our bodies don't care. It doesn't care how much you ate yesterday or how much you ate the day before. Your body just knows what it needs to eat right now. It doesn't care. It's not keeping count. It's not keeping track. It's not, counting calories or anything. It's just, it's saying like, yo, we've used up a lot of energy. We've done a lot of things. We've completed a lot of tasks. We need some energy. We need some gas. Why did I leave TK? Mad Dog 04. That is a great sign of healing. Congratulations. Everybody show Mad Dog 04 some love as well. Some congratulations. Way to go. I left Timberline Knolls, which is TK. I'm from Texas, right? I've been born and raised here my whole life. However, my parents and my family are from the south side of Chicago. Like the south, the south side of Chicago. And that sounds Markham and Tinley Park or Oak Forest. Anyway, that's where my parents were from. So I grew up going back to Chicago a lot as a kid. And when I went to graduate school, I went to the Chicago School of Professional Psychology, because at that time, forensic psychology was sort of just becoming a new field. There weren't a lot of forensic programs around, and I was really interested in trauma and working with victims of trauma. So this forensic program at Chicago School of Professional Psychology was what I wanted and needed. So I went to school up there because I, loved the city, kind of had grown up in the city, and I lived there and I loved Chicago so much. I loved working at Timberline Knolls. You can take the girl out of Texas, but you can't take the Texas out of the girl. And so I think I just kind of got to a point where I missed home. I missed, I think, being close to family. It wasn't easy to show up for things. The weather is really hard. Midwestern weather is really hard for this Texas girl. But I loved living there. I loved working at Timberline Knolls. I think it was just, I just had this thought in my gut, it's time to move home, and a lot of good happened since moving here, so I guess I made the right decision. Nicole Renee Drum F0. I took the weekend off from exercising. It was so good, but your anxiety was through the roof. It is really hard. So first of all, can we give Nicole Renee Drum F0 some love and support and congratulations for taking a break from exercise. That's actually a really great recovery step. When we're making recovery steps, we feel anxious. We're doing something new. We're challenging ourselves in a way that we're not used to. And that can feel scary. The brain can have a hard time with that. So, you know, recovery is about doing the hard, scary thing because your eating disorder wants to keep you stuck and sick and miserable. It wants you to be like your worst version of yourself, right? And so it feels really bad because there's this truly sick part of your brain that is distorting information. So I think the more you can learn to get to know your unhealthy self, your eating disorder self, and the more you can get to know your healthy self, it helps you, learn to challenge that thinking or talk back to that thinking. Any tips for when you have lost hunger cues due to your eating disorder? Also, I'm seeing this happen. Thank you, Warrior Naya, for responding to Medic 26892. So if y'all see any comments, because I'm slow to get to them because I ramble, if y'all see any comments, support each other, cheer each other on, root for each other, right? Because this is about our community. This is about, people in recovery coming together who get it and understand and support each other. It's such an isolating disease. So I am really, I love the community that I've seen here on TikTok of people rallying to support each other. So tips for getting your hunger cues back. I see a couple of people asking about this question. You gotta eat. I know that's not what you wanted to hear, but when we're restricting, our body starts working against us, right? Our body goes into stress mode. And what's stress mode? Well, it's our automatic nervous system. And that fight or flight, right? And so we have to refeed, we have to re-nourish, we have to reteach the body, hey, because we're not so stressed out, because we're hungry, we're keeping you fed, we're nourishing you, those hunger cues come back. So I would say mechanical eating is the first place to start with this process. It's just knowing you need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. And also you can just say, Nadia, awesome. Thanks, Nadia. Mechanical eating is this process of, okay, I know I need to be eating more, but I don't feel like I want to eat more emotionally, mentally, physically. I'm not there yet, but I know for my health and my healing, I need to be eating more. So it's scheduling, putting reminders, putting alarms, having people bring you food, but it's eating truly every 2-ish, 3-ish hours. And the more you can do that, the more you can increase your intake, the more you're going to notice your hunger cues are starting to signal you. But let me tell you this, even normal, happy, non-eating disordered people, appetite is affected by stress. Appetite is affected by sadness. Appetite is just, is affected by things that we're going through, whether we have increased appetite or decreased appetite, right? And so even people who aren't in recovery struggle with feeling hungry. It's not like a thing that happens all day, every day, right? Especially if we're eating and nourishing, we don't and we're kind of, eating every so often. Our body doesn't have to go to that deep hunger place in our stomach, right? Because we're staying on top of it. So I would think to also suggest, and tip number 2 is what does hunger feel like for you? How else do you know you're hungry? You feel it in your stomach, but can you also notice how you think? How does your body feel? How do you what's your energy level right? So those sorts of things can help you cue in, oh yeah, I'm hungry, even though I don't feel it in my stomach. I know anxiety went up when I said eating, and I know that, and that doesn't mean that you start there. Like, it'd be great if you could finish this video and hop off and go eat every 2 to 3 hours every day from now on. It's not that easy, right? So it's kind of like, that's kind of the, I don't want to say the goal, but when we are properly nourishing our body, like when we're just staying fed, truly, like we're feeling a little bit hungry every 2-ish, 3-ish or so hours. So it doesn't feel like, oh, it's 2 hours time to eat, right? It feels like that right now. It feels very mechanical, and it feels very hard for you right now because you're in it. Your brain is still healing, and eating disorder causes a very rigid, hyper focused brain. How are my people on Facebook? Any questions, y'all? I don't see anything coming through. So so maybe it's just saying, okay, I'm going to add one more meal in, whatever that may be. Whether that's it, whatever, just add one more meal in once or twice a week. And then from there, build up, right? So, okay, I've got that one extra meal in. So now I'm going to go for 4 times this week. Now I'm going to go for 6 days, right? And you gradually build up to it. Be careful about making your recovery perfect. Raise your hand if you try to be perfect in your recovery. So you want to go to your therapist or your treatment team and say, I ate all my meals, I didn't use any behaviors, I shut down the eating disorder voice every time. It doesn't work that way. Don't be perfect in your recovery, because recovery isn't perfect. You're supposed to fuck up. Okay, what's the strength between trauma and developing eating disorders? Wow, a lot. I could go somewhere, but my phone's here, my computer's tied up. They're like this, right? Trauma and eating disorders run very closely. We see them coexist comorbidly, with a lot of like significant data, right? The data suggests that trauma and eating disorders can exist together. Does that mean that trauma causes an eating disorder? In some cases, I'm going to go there and say, yes, I can see that happening. Does trauma always cause an eating disorder? Absolutely not. And so there are people who have eating disorders and don't have trauma, and then there are people who have eating disorders and do have trauma. What happens in a trauma is the brain is shooketh. Like the brain becomes like it. I went to a training, and the guy said it's literally like and he said literally a trauma is like a literal bolt of lightning coming in and like shocking your brain. That's how it discombobulates you. Hi, Michael. Thanks for letting me see that the comments are working in the Facebook group. Good. It jolts, it changes your brain. It changes how your brain processes information and receives and hears information, and it activates your nervous system. And an activated nervous system is a stress response in the body. And so if we have these nervous, anxious, tight, tense, I want to flee, I want to fight, I'm in fawn, I'm in freeze, like if we're having all of these like constant trauma reactions in our body, that's gonna fuck our body up. It's gonna feel really uncomfortable and really painful in our bodies. And so when people say, I hate to use the F word, but y'all know the bad F word in recovery. When people say, I feel that, and they've had trauma, I'm thinking how much of that discomfort you're feeling in your body is a trauma response. So we want to work on treating trauma and the eating disorder. Shout out to pizza for lunch. You know, I said I don't want to talk about food and what I'm eating, but legit, I feel like pizza is one of those foods that just always needs to be honored and acknowledged, and like So can I get a shout out for the pizza? You have taught yourself to ignore the stomach feeling. Right. Like and eating disorders are really good at disconnecting you from your body and those body cues. So it's like, I think, that it's not learning other hunger cues. What are other ways of knowing that I'm hungry? To help cue me that it's time to eat. You're allergic to pizza, Nadia. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like, there's a lot of reasons why I'm sorry for that. I hope that didn't like bring anything up for anybody. So we are gonna. I see questions about pizza. My favorite type of pizza is Chicago style pizza. Can I get a shout out for Chicago style pizza? Pizza is a fear food, right? That's why I try not to share my food with y'all, because I know that literally seeing food can like right, cause anxiety, and so know that my intention is to make it safe. So pizza's okay. Pizza's okay. I'm trying to model it, right? I'm eating it. This was from yesterday, so I ate pizza yesterday too, right? Oh, my screen on my TikTok just went red or something, and I didn't even do anything. What's that? That was really cool. A lot of fear food with pizza. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. It's a big one. So, how can you what do you need to work up to that? What do you need to feel less scared about that? Or what do you need to like feel, here's what I say with recovery and intuitive eating. Intuitive eating gives you permission to eat everything, right? Just because I have permission to eat everything doesn't mean I have to eat everything. It just means that if I eat something, I don't have any anxiety around it. You're allowed to make a choice of pizza or not pizza, right? You're allowed to do that. But it's also knowing, but if I eat the pizza, it's also okay. Like, it's not going to hurt me. I'm going to be okay. I'm not touching my phone, and literally the filters are changing. I don't know what's happening. You know what's happening? Probably my cell phone is dying. I swear to God. No one believes me when I say my cell phone's dying. Here are both of my hands, and y'all are witnessing the color changing happening and the swiping happening on my phone. So it's either possessed or it's broken. It's doing it all on its own. So here's a really good question. How do you support yourself when you don't have a good family support? Find a community of warriors. Like, find like, I have a Facebook group. Like, check out the Recovery Academy. Like, there's other places who do a lot of like online support programs. Even maybe in your town there might, like, a treatment center may have like group support, right? And so find people who get it, who are in recovery, and try to educate your parents. If you're in therapy, ask your therapist to help you with that. Maybe they'll read books. Maybe they will, read blogs, watch videos, if they're open to learning on how to support you. But I understand that there are parents who, have a hard time for many different reasons. So sometimes parents aren't safe. Okay, so a lot of here around like therapy and getting treatment and how it feels really scary. It is weird to think about sharing things with another person you don't know. But you get to be in charge of what you share. I would hope that you can be really open and honest and share things, because that's how you heal. But you get to choose like how you're sharing that information and what you're telling your therapist. And your therapist's job is truly, we meet you where you're at. We can't force you to say anything. We can't force you to tell us what's going on in your life. And so our job is to try to create a safe space for you to share those things. And so it's maybe you need to test it out a little bit. Maybe you need to kind of share less really upsetting things to help you know that it's safe, and help you see how your therapist is going to handle that. Your therapist has become your favorite person. It's possible to find someone good. It is possible to find someone good. I think it's a process. I've had therapists that I've liked for a little bit, and then, you know, maybe it didn't work for me anymore. Then I've had therapists that I didn't like at all from the first or second session. And then, you know, there's therapists that you want to see forever, and that's okay. It's really like, what do you need? What do you do if you don't have a therapist available? That is my biggest thing, is making it more available and accessible to people. Because it's not always easy to get help. So check out, like, that's why I created the Recovery Academy. If you go to recovery-academy.com, you'll see the different types of, like, how we try to offer support and how we try to make this eating disorder recovery treatment information more accessible to people. I think that's a great place to look if you don't have any therapist available. See what options are available to you outside of your country. If it's not right, you want somebody available in your area, but you don't. So I hope I get the pizza in New York City soon, but am I really gonna like it better than Chicago pizza? That's my like concern about New York pizzas. It's had all this hype. Everybody's like, New York pizza's so good. New York pizza's so much better than Chicago style pizza. But like, is it really though? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm still gonna try it, but I'm in Texas, and we do provide virtual sessions. We are Texoma Specialty Counseling.com. But we also have the Recovery Academy, and that's for anybody living anywhere, where I teach you everything I know about eating disorders. I teach you everything I know about eating disorder recovery, and I give you the exact same like worksheets and resources and tips and tricks and tools and activities that I give all of my clients, and you get the support of a recovery community. So that is for people who don't live in Texas, who maybe have a therapist or just don't have access to a therapist. So that might be an option to check out too. What made me want to recover? Where did I even start? I learned everything I could about things. Like I had the privilege of being able to be a therapist and being able to have worked in this field and know a little bit about eating disorders. And then when I really started working towards my my certification, I really started building my private practice, I was better, I was healthier in that place. But I had learned so much about just like the treatment of eating disorders that I that's where I started, was just learning so much. And then learning that I was fighting with my body, right? This whole idea of like I just couldn't feel good in my body, and I was tired of doing all the bullshit I was doing to feel good in my body. Like those things weren't working for me either. And so it kind of was this realization of like, well, this doesn't make me happy. This is holding me back in my life. So I think if you can take an inventory, right, of how am I not living my life? And how is my obsession with food and how is my obsession with my body keeping me from living my life and doing the things I want to be doing? And when you can look at what you've missed out on and how you were holding yourself back and how you were waiting to like in your mind, that idea of like, if I just lose weight and if I just look a certain way, then these things will start happening for me, right? When you realize, wait a second, I can live my life. I don't have to lose weight. I don't have to, I don't have to lose weight or look a certain way to have that. So I think those realizations helped me. And then it becomes that process of like, okay, well, how am I going to eat intuitively? So it's learning how about intuitive eating, and it's eating different foods and being scared to eat different foods, and seeing your body change, and working through the stages of like body acceptance, and learning how to be really nice to yourself, and learning how to manage anxiety and depression and feelings without, food, behaviors, or exercise. So it's not just this process of like eating or eating more or eating less or just not using behaviors, right? It's this process of like, how am I learning to take care of me? How am I learning to acknowledge my feelings, my body, and what do I need to do to try to feel, how am I taking care of myself every day? What have my clients taught me about life? That's a really good question. I love that question. They've taught me that people are way more strong and resilient than we personally can give ourselves credit for. I just see so much strength in my clients, and I see people who get up every day and fight their brain and fight their body, and show up and do still some really fucking awesome things. Like, they're strong, and so they've taught me that, you know what, we can do hard shit. I can do hard shit. Like, I think I've learned that I too can be resilient and I can be strong, because I've seen how strong they can be and how resilient and adaptive they've been. So that's like my lesson. Let's see. You don't know how to be nice to yourself. That's really hard. Sometimes we're never taught how to be nice to ourselves at all. So, where do you start? I would start researching Kristen Neff, Neff. She's the queen of self-compassion. She's studied it. She's written books on it. I think you could just like Google Kristen Neff, and her page is going to come up. If you're looking for a really good book, I would suggest The Gifts of Imperfection, or the Brene Brown special on Netflix. I don't know the name of the special, but you could just search in Netflix Brene Brown, and it will come up. It will be there. So my friends, I'm looking at the clock. I have group in about 5 or so minutes, and I like to kind of, have some time to myself. So let me see if there's one more question. Y'all always make it. See, the filters. I did touch at that time, but I swear to you that I didn't swipe the filters. I swiped to see the comments. So my phone's possessed. How long did it take me to get through school? That's a good question. I kind of like this filter, but I didn't do it on purpose. So 4 years to get my bachelor's degree. In fact, I think my bachelor's degree took me about 4.5 years. Yeah, 4.5 years. Then my master's took me 2 years. Then I worked for a little bit in the field. So to become a licensed professional counselor, you have to take a test. You have to have a bunch of supervised hours. Became a licensed professional counselor. Did that for a few years, about 5 or 6 years, and then I went and got my PhD. And I think that took me, that took a long time. If anybody wants to get a PhD, I'm never ever gonna dissuade somebody from getting a PhD. I have one. I value education, clearly, but it is not for a lazy person like myself. I got through it, but it was hard. Writing a dissertation is dumb. It is so hard and so dumb, but I got through it, and I'm proud. And that took a really long time. And then I went and got my certification, certified eating disorder specialist. I went and got that through the International Association of Eating Disorder Professionals. And I don't know, that took about 3.5-ish years because there's a lot of education, a lot of supervised hours you have to do. So a long time. I'm done with school. I'm officially done with school. I can say that. Don't teach me nothing. I'm just kidding. I like to learn. But I'm not going back to school for sure. So my phone is possessed and dying, Jazzy Cat. It's bad. I drop it all the time. So, okay, last question. Even though I gotta go, it's really hard. I just love spending time with y'all. It's really hard for me to get off. How do you stop counting calories? It's not going to be just an automatic thing, okay? You've got to retrain the brain. Your brain becomes like a calculator. It's kind of one of those like obsessive eating disorder thoughts that happens. So that thought isn't going to necessarily just go away just because you're doing something. I think it takes time. But to get to that point, do not use your FitnessPal. Delete the app. If any one of you on this live, anybody on any of these channels have my FitnessPal, you better fucking delete it. And then I want you to message me, whether that's DM through here, wherever. I want you to message me that you deleted my FitnessPal. So cool. We're all going to delete my FitnessPal together. Then it's like not adding it up on paper. It's really intentionally not counting, even though it's still happening in your brain. Okay, so it's not trying to fuel that fire, and the more you don't do anything, the quieter that part of your brain is going to become, the less you kind of like stop adding that fuel to the fire. Okay, so if your dyslexic brain likes to do math, then don't do it on calories. Count up money dollars. Count up I don't know. I'm on the spot. Count anything but calories. You can count. I'm not a math person, so it's really hard for me to be thinking about what to count up. But I hear you, right? Your brain may really need some kind of like thing to do that. So use numbers, just don't use calories. Think of like another thing that you can be counting and adding. And maybe it's just counting your 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Maybe it's just counting your taps instead of counting calories. Cool? All right, friends, so I've got to go. If you're in my group, I'll see you in the group. If you want to know more about the group, check out recovery-academy.com. We have Monday and Tuesday night groups. So I'm going to take a few bites to finish my lunch, and I will see you all next week. Y'all have a happy, happy day off if you get a day off. And I'll see y'all back this time next week. Okay, bye.